Bonjour, everybody. Welcome along to this edition of SportsView on learnmedia.tv. Press the red button on the right-hand side to subscribe to our channel. Good evening, Derwynne, and welcome.
Hey, Pat. How are you?
I'm very well indeed. And Joe Waters will be along with us later on. He's a couple of minutes running behind, probably having his final pina colada by the pool. I don't know. But we're coming to you from southern France, 28 degrees here. A little tad warm and in Béziers, but it's great to have you along. And we'll be looking at the Euros, the latest in the Euros, and some golf, some Formula One, etc. And a gem of a piece of commentary that I know you'll all enjoy later on. But anyway, to open up tonight, I suppose we'll start with what we were chatting about last Monday night, the last 16 match of England and Slovenia last night. Was a heart stopper if you're an English supporter, but it was a pretty crude match up to 95 minutes, when Slovenia waltzed through the English defence for the lead goal and they kept it right up almost to the end. What did you make of the whole thing yourself now that they've won and they're through to the quarterfinals?
I think they just delayed the inevitable by one more week, really. No, I do. I just don't understand it. You got this so-called pack of talent there, and none of them are performing well. And I'm not sure if it's tactics, whether it's just they're all just out of form, or what it is. But England, they got lucky last night, big time. Yeah. And whatever we want to say, Southgate is such a negative manager. Everything's defensive. He's got no spark about him, has he? I mean, you win football games by scoring goals, right?
You do.
Simple as that. If you just keep passing it in your own third of the pitch, yeah, you'll win the race to the stats with the most passes and most possession and all this crap. At the end of the day, if you don't go forwards, you don't score goals. And,
we were saying before we came on here, they have on paper, I know, as Brian Clough said, the football games aren't played on paper, they're played on grass. But on paper, England do have firepower to score goals. And as you said, last night, the Slovenians had two 37-year-olds in the back, in the full backs. And as you said, two speedy wingers and not one ball over the top for them to chase, turn them in the whole match.
I don't get it. You've got two 37-year-old defenders, left, right backs are two 37-year-old men. And you're playing against, if he puts Gordon on the pitch, or even if he does put Foden, I mean, Foden and Trippier up on the left are just useless because all they'd ever do is cut back inside. And why you haven't got a natural left footer out there, I don't get. And you've got Gordon, you've got Saka. Every time Saka gets the ball, he's facing the wrong way and running back towards his own goal. Yet, last night, if there was ever a case of using your speed, which is what we all know defenders hate speed, and not once did they put a ball over the top to go chase it. Go on, you'll outrun them. You know you'll outrun them. And it's like, what are you not seeing that everybody else is seeing? Back in the UK, the radio, Henry Winter as regarded journalist for the Telegraph, he's seen more football than most people will ever see. And, he's on the radio going, I just don't understand. You've got speed and you've got talent, yet everything is passed sideways, passed backwards, passed sideways, passed backwards. I think Kane is totally off it completely. And as much as we keep saying, like we said a week ago or a couple of weeks ago, he drops back, his job's not to do that. His job's to be up the front.
Yeah, there's nine more.
He's not getting any service.
No.
And last night, Bellingham does, that could have gone into Rosette as much as it went into the back of their net. We've all seen overhead kicks do the same thing. And yet they got lucky to get an equaliser. And then What's Southgate thinking to put Tony on with 2 minutes to go in the game?
Yeah.
What's that about? Why put someone on for 2 minutes? I mean, he's not Superman. He's not going to score from his own half, is he?
No.
And
Well,
you sit there and kind of go, I don't get it. Why has he taken Shaw if Shaw isn't fit enough to play? Why is Shaw there? Why isn't Ben Chilwell there? Not that I'm a fan of Chilwell, but you sit there and go, well, he's a left footer. Why isn't he there? I mean, I don't get it. Why would you take a player to a tournament who is probably hasn't played football for over 5 months?
That's true. That's very true.
I mean, what's he there for? I don't get it. And to me, the only player has got any credit to himself, is Mainu, because he seems to want to go forwards. I think Foden is a little bit. I think Foden flatters to deceive.
Yeah.
I think you put him in that Man City team with the amount of players around him, they make him look better.
Well, he has had a very poor tournament. Foden has.
I think you've got Bellingham, Foden, Kane. I think Walker was useless last night. How he stayed on, I don't know.
Well, I suppose, Derwyn, as we were texting each other as well, but I was saying that during the game last night, I couldn't see how England were going to score, even when Bellingham got the equaliser and they were going to extra time. I know you could say they got lucky, but you make your own luck in the match as well. And of course, we'd be saying that was an Irishman saved England again, Harry Kane, but that's neither here nor there, But
you sit there, Pat. I mean, you sit there like you're an Ireland fan, right?
yeah,
I'm an England fan. Let's face it. Do you look at the England team and think, wow, these guys are going to score a hatful tonight?
no.
No,
Well,
you don't.
no. I look at the Spanish team and think
Spain
that
could have scored 8 goals last night.
they could, yeah, they could.
And yeah, they got a little bit lucky as well playing Georgia, because Georgia put up a good fight.
Georgia have improved out of all proportion, and they're accredited. They're the winners of the tournament so far in my book. They've really come of age as a European soccer force. And they're a very organised team.
But you look at it. I mean, France. All right, France aren't exactly firing on all cylinders.
No.
And yeah, you look at that and you kind of go, well, they're not playing great. England's not playing great. Have England just got really lucky so far this trip? Yes, they have. B, they've got lucky with the draw. I'm not 100% sure. I think Switzerland will beat them on Saturday, because I think Switzerland are organised.
Switzerland are organised and they have skill in the team. I agree with you there.
Yeah.
But
they've got speed.
Yeah.
I mean, talking to a mate of mine today, he's sitting there going, well, they can't keep playing crap, can they? They're going to have a good game at some stage.
Well, there's also talk about some criticism that is Jordan Pickford the best keeper in England?
Well, I don't think he is. I think he's a bit overrated, and I think he's probably a Southgate favourite, isn't he?
And we saw our friend Kasper with Denmark as well going out, but I mean, he played well. Kasper's played a long time now. Kasper Schmeichel for Denmark last night. I think that the quarterfinal, the juicy quarterfinal we'll be looking forward to is Spain and Germany. The Germans aren't exactly setting the world on fire, They seem to be a bit deficient up front. It's not like the German team not to have firepower in the box. I don't think they have it, Derwyn.
No, but I think again, Germany, to me, they're organised. They're a unit. I think, and I think they only need to they've got talent in their team as well.
Yeah.
As well as France and as well as England and Portugal and all the rest of them. But you sit there and you kind of go, yeah, that's going to be the tie of the tournament so far, isn't it?
Well, it is. I mean, the Spain and Germany is obviously, we know, France beat Belgium, and Portugal are playing tonight as we're on air on Monday, the 1st of July, 2024. We're on air here at South of France, and we have Romania and the Netherlands left, and Austria and Turkey left as well for tomorrow night. Yeah. So that'll be complete. And so next Saturday at 5 o'clock, Greenwich Mean Time, it'll be England and Switzerland. At next Saturday will be the quarterfinal. And I think England's scheduled to meet Spain, the winners of Spain and Germany in the semi-final.
Semis, I think, yeah.
I think, yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, I think we are hard on England. I think we're tough on England. I think simply because there's an expectation. I don't know where it's coming from. As a man said last night, they haven't won anything meaningful in soccer ever. Only one.
I think that I don't think it is being hard on them. I really don't. That they talk about themselves as being a good team and this and that. Southgate came out in the press conference saying that, the amount of possession they had and all the rest of it. And you're like, what game is he watching? Because, he's not watching. He's watching a different game to the rest of us.
Right.
And as an England fan, it's not about saying it's coming home and all the rest of the crap that goes with it. It is. You just sit there and you kind of go, I just don't get it. It's so negative football. I mean, you've got to go. Surely you've got to go out to win a football match. You can't go out just to fanny around with the ball and push it backwards, sideways. And they got lucky. That guy who took the kick from just inside his own half, because Pickford was halfway up towards the halfway line.
He was.
They could be 2-0 down without even thinking about it last night.
They could have been. Well, if they went 2-0 down, I don't think they'd have come back from it.
They had no chance of getting back from that.
No, I wouldn't.
And it's not being critical. I mean, I just don't get how you put Tony. I'm not an Ivan Toney supporter. I've not seen him play enough football. I can't believe he's there really. I can't believe we're one of our options. But so he's there. So congratulations, you're there. Whatever. But again, Southgate puts him on with 2 minutes to go. And this basically, he heads the ball back to Kane. But was that really a pass, or was it just putting it back into a danger area? And
I don't know.
Someone's there. Because I think it's more about that than it was. I don't think it was planned that we'll pump it to that back post again.
Yeah.
And Kane scores a goal. But then that's what he's supposed to do from 3 yards out.
Yeah. Well, it did fall.
It's not being critical, Pat. It's not.
No, I agree with you there. It's I think the pundits couldn't say too much, because I think he has Gary Neville in ITV. I was watching ITV with Gary Neville and Ian Wright and Roy Keane.
Yeah.
And Ian Wright and Gary Neville would never call it. They never call it, honestly, as pundits, And Roy Keane.
I just think England. It's not about we all expect too much and all the rest of it. It isn't anything like that. I keep saying to you, Switzerland will beat us. I believe they will. And it's not about it's coming home and we all want it. Yeah, of course, everybody wants. If Ireland was there, you'd want them to win, right?
Of course.
And we're sitting here and we're watching real crap football.
Well, I mean, the tournament has been full of dreadful games. To me, dreadful games. The tournament has been full of appalling decisions, refereeing decisions as well. So far.
Yeah, there's. I mean, that ref last night. I mean, he was giving you yellow cards out like confetti, wasn't he?
Well, he shouldn't have been refereeing him. If you read about what happened to him before, what he was involved in, how in the name of God did he get to refer? Although we don't know.
You sit there and you whatever way we look at it with football, you sit there and kind of. I sit there and I don't get it. I mean, surely there's a better ref for a match like that. Surely your best referees should be going into the quarterfinals, the semis, and the final. Not
good evening, Joe. Guess what we're talking about, Joe.
You're on mute, Joe.
You sound. We need to hear you.
Still on mute, mate.
Yeah.
Above my pay grade, this. You know what I mean?
It's okay now. It's okay. It's Switzerland next for England, Joe. And if they beat Switzerland, then they'll be meeting the winners of Spain or Germany in the semi-final. How does that take you? All the way to the final, is it?
Well, I think that they've got a tough draw in Switzerland. They're a very solid side.
Yeah,
very solid team. They've got good goalkeeping, good defense, good in midfield, very, very good, solid midfield. And the forward players are pretty dynamic as well. So this is when I saw that the draw, I went, England won't want to get Switzerland. And then I looked at it and I went, oh God, yeah, they've got them.
Yeah.
So it's
Saturday at 5:00.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a funny thing. You're at this stage now, and this, I'm reading the papers, and I don't know what you lads talked about, but I'm reading the papers, and it seems to me that people in England, the press and fans, are never happy with what they're getting. They never seem to be happy with it. They've always got an axe to grind with something. You know what? Sometimes you've just got to be grateful for the fact that you won the game.
Yeah.
I mean, there are two teams playing this game, and no one has a divine right to win any game. And the fact that it's like you're goosed if you do and goosed if you don't. You win the game in extra time. Well, why do we have to go to extra time to win it? Well, we only equalized in the last minute. Well, why do we have to wait till the last minute to equalize? Why weren't we doing that before? Why weren't we this? Why weren't we doing that? Fact is that they've done it and they've made it. And you should be getting behind them, not slagging them off. And hoping that they're going to go all the way. I mean, we saw, and Derwynne, you're as well aware of this as anybody, we saw that Italy team win the Euros the last time.
We did?
That team did not play attractive football.
No.
And that team was not a full-flowing team. They were solid defensively, and they got through 1-0 or 2-1 or whatever it was.
Yeah, 1-0.
They got to the final, and they won it, and on penalties, right? So, I mean, the last team that I can remember that actually went through a World Cup or a Euros, and I'm more familiar with the World Cup, was the Brazil team in 1970 that played great football throughout the tournament.
Yes.
That's the last team I remember that actually was absolutely outstanding all the way.
If you look back at the Euros, in my short memory, the team, when the time that Greece won it, they played great soccer for the whole tournament. Greece,
Yeah.
They played great soccer for the whole tournament. But this tournament has been shambolic altogether for dreadful
Yes,
games.
but I mean that Greek team is a typical case in point here, stuff that we're talking about. That Greek team was a 1-0 win on penalties team. The coach was a German. They didn't really attack people. They were he set them up well. He did the whole thing with them. And you look back on it now and nobody cares about how they played. They're in the record books as having won it, and they've won it one more time than any of our home nations have. So it comes to the fact: do you want to win the tournament, or do you want to play good football? And you can play good football, but you can be going home. And look at Belgium. They're gone. They are.
They couldn't. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it just, I just don't get it. And I'm reading online, and stuff like that. Well, we've got the cream of the Premiership playing for us. Is this the best we can do with it? Well, let's be very clear here. These guys are not the cream of the Premiership.
No,
they are not. There are maybe a third of the Premiership that are English-born players, right?
I think you're being generous by saying a third.
Yeah, right. So you look at that and you go, okay. So now you look at the likes of Man City, right? Yeah. Who is Phil Foden playing with at Man City?
Spain.
Right. He's playing with Jeremy Doku, who's in Belgium. He's playing with Bernardo Silva, who's Portugal, playing with Rodri, playing with Kevin De Bruyne, right? All these players are some of the best players, or certainly the highest players on their team, highest level players. And then you come to the England team and you're looking at, well, where is the quality in that England team? The one thing and Derwynne, you've touched on this before a few times. And I mean, I've watched it and it pains me to watch how England play the ball across the back. Their midfield players never get in the gaps to receive the ball.
They never run in for a pass.
They never. And Harry Kane is a centre forward that is not a centre forward in actual essence, because what he wants to do is he wants to drop off. And he doesn't want to hold the ball up for the rest of the team to get into it. He wants to be a false nine. So then who's playing in behind to threaten everybody? Yeah. And they don't have anybody that's willing to do that, and is capable of doing that. So it's just one of those things that you're looking at and you're going, they should be grateful that they're at this stage of the tournament.
That's a fair point, Joe. And when you look at England in comparison to Spain.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Chalk and cheese.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, go on, you were going to say.
Just before you came on, Pat and I were talking about it. Last night, England, if they'd got two wingers on the pitch who are fast and can cross a ball with left foot and right foot, they were playing against two defenders, a left back and the right back, are 37-year-old men.
Yeah.
Now, as a 37-year-old man, when you were playing football at the level you played at, you were in it as a national footballer, would you have fancied walking out to that pitch knowing that you've got two flyers who can outrun you all day long?
No.
And
last night, I can tell you my game plan would have been that I would stick as what
to a blanket. Sit as tight as glue, wouldn't you? You'd be glued to it.
And you're not going behind me. You're not behind me.
As an England team, do not even play the ball past that defender for the runners to go running onto.
Right.
No.
And you sit there and you watch Saka. If you watch any of that match last night, Saka, every time he got the ball from Walker, or whether he got it from Mainu, or whether he got it from Declan Rice, he's running back towards his own goal and he's having to pass it backwards or sideways.
Yeah.
Right.
Yet you're sitting there as an England fan going, you know, Saka is not a defender.
No, he's not.
He's a speed merchant and going to outrun people. And yet we don't seem to play to our players' strengths. I think that's the biggest criticism that you're getting in the UK at the moment from England fans, is that we don't seem to play to our players. You know, Gordon should have been playing last night out on the left side. And you've got, to me, whether it's Bellingham, whether it's Ivan Toney, whether it's Watkins, whether it's Kane, you've got two runners who should be crossing the ball into that box. You watch what's happened in this tournament. There's been so many own goals, yet we don't seem to put any pressure on the team, really.
No.
And that, to me, I just don't get it. If they, you know, if you've got two fast runners against two old defenders, you've got to be thinking, well, we've got to put it over the top and let them run onto it, haven't we?
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to put it in behind them somewhere and let the speedsters exploit them. And that's what I'm saying. You know, they don't play through the midfield very well, and they're too slow at moving the ball from midfield to either wide or to the front. And it's painstaking to watch the way that how pedestrian they are in the way that they play. You know, and I mean, I know I'm saying that, you know, that you know, and let me be very honest. They are very fortunate to be at this stage of the tournament.
Yeah,
they're really massively lucky.
Yeah, the way they played, because I'm sorry, but that guy that gave the free kick away just before the end of the game, that allowed Palmer to put the ball into the box, right, for Jude Bellingham to score, right? The guy is going. Palmer is going nowhere in the corner flag. The defender comes out and pushes him.
Yeah.
Knocks him over, gives him a free kick. You are told from the time that you are a child that if a person's in the corner flag, leave them alone. You don't have to get tight on them because they're not going anywhere. Whatever you do not give them the opportunity of a free kick, right? Just keep them in the corner and you go. So he makes a mistake by giving the free kick away. The ball comes in, and that was for the winner, right? That the ball came in from the free kick, or was that the throw-in?
No, that was the draw before. That was the 95th minute draw.
Yeah, and then Bellingham scores a great goal, right? And then, you know, well, where's that been all tournament? People are saying, well, you know what? Just like you said there, if they're not putting the ball in the box, how can he score a goal?
I mean, I think the criticism and like the rants I've been having with Pat before you joined in is that it's not that you expect them to play like Brazil. You're not expecting to win every game 15-0. You're not. But what we are seeing and what we're getting fed by, I mean, Southgate's press conference after the match. You know, he's sitting there in a press conference. He's actually really pleased with the performance and the fact that they stuck in there, and that the possession stats show that we had most of the ball. And you go, well, yeah, you can have most of the ball if you're passing it in front of your own box all day, sideways, forward, sideways. Yeah. You can have as much possession as you want. I don't care, Joe, if the three of us played in a five-a-side game with two of our mates and we had all the possession, but we didn't score a goal and the others scored one, we don't get any prizes for possession, do we?
No, you don't. And they
don't go, oh, I'll tell you what, you won the possession stats, we'll give you a goal for that. Oh, you had more corners than them, oh, we'll give you another goal for that. None of that goes on. It's about putting the ball in the net, isn't it?
Absolutely it is.
And you sit there and you listen to Southgate and you're like, what is he, what? I know he's got to kind of put spin on it and listen, but at some stage, surely you've just got to be honest and go, they're not playing up to their capabilities.
Oh.
And is it Southgate getting all these tactics wrong? Because you watch the ball go out left and it goes to Trippier, it goes to Foden. And the first thing they both do is they cut back in onto their right foot.
Right.
And you sit there and just go, well, hang on a second, you've got Gordon out there who's a left-footed winger.
Right. But then, I understand a little bit of it because I'm watching, other teams, and other teams have inverted wingers and fullbacks. Belgium scored, or not Belgium, sorry, Switzerland's second goal was typical of that. They have a guy cuts inside, plays the ball inside, and the guy turns it, puts it in the top corner. But it's Fatih Terim, the Turkish coach, put it really well one time, and somebody asked him about, statistics show. And he said, well, statistics are a little bit like a miniskirt. Doesn't show you everything. and that's the truth right there, because you're right. That England had 67% possession, I think, in that game.
Yeah.
And with 23% or whatever it is, 33%, they were still losing 1-0 to an opposition that had 33%.
They were almost gone. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's that's the thing right there, is that how many opportunities are you creating? And it's just the way they play doesn't sit right with me.
Was Bellingham's goal their first shot in the first half? Or their second?
They had 2 shots on target. They had 13 shots in total. I think they had 2 on target. Yeah. So, But but again, you can knock. But I can guarantee you this: Belgium would love to be in their position right now.
No, guys.
No, I know, and it isn't. Like Roy Keane said last night after the match. Sometimes you just need to win ugly. And all that matters is, like you said earlier on, you're in the next round at end of story.
They're in the quarterfinal. And SportsView is the program. Tell all your friends about us. Press the red button on the right-hand side. Joe and Derwynne and myself are here most Monday nights. And guys, I must tell you, in the Republic of Ireland, for people who are watching this program, we have 2 main sports: Gaelic football and hurling, right? As Derwynne knows all about it. And both competitions are down to the last 4. But I'm going to play a bit of audio, guys. That'll cheer you up. No hint that my researcher came across today.
It's all eyes on the referee. We could be seconds away from the greatest victory in Croke Park in 23 years for Galway. All eyes on Sean Herson. Galway 17 points, Dublin 16. Scan has his head in his hands. The referee looks at his watch. He blows a whistle. Galway have won. It's the greatest day that Galway football has seen in over 2 decades. And every man, woman and child stands to applaud Pádraig Joyce and his gallant Galway men. Sweet mother of Jesus, they have pulled off the unthinkable. Forget about Taylor Swift. Shake it off in the Aviva and come over here to Croke Park, because you're witnessing the West Awake. Gallev Abu!
All right. Does that cheer you up, Dwayne?
Who did they beat?
They beat Dublin.
Oh, they beat Dublin? I didn't see that.
Dublin by 17 points to 16. And it was the first time in 20 years. But I mean, Dublin were raging hot favourites to progress. So,
yeah.
I know, Derwynne. Did you ever hear anything like that, Derwynne?
I love that, yeah.
Yeah.
I think you got to love it.
Have that for Saturday night, please. After we lose to Switzerland.
Well, we'll just move on to golf for a minute. No, the The Rocket Mortgage Classic was won by Mr. Davis at 18-1800 in Detroit in Michigan. And the Italian Open, there's a playoff for the Italian Open in the DP World Tour between Marcel Siem and Young McKibben from Hollywood. He's from the same part of the Northern Ireland as Rory McIlroy is. Young McKibben and Marcel Siem, they both finished at 10 under, but Marcel Siem won in the playoff. But McKibben qualified for the British Open as a result of his finish in that tournament, which I suppose in the Swiss Ladies Open in golf, in the European Ladies, Houston, -11, she had her first win, I think, in 4 or 5 years. But young Lauren Walsh, up and coming, playing on the European Tour, she finished the runner-up at -10, so she had a cracking round to finish of 64. And the Austrian Grand Prix in Formula One was not won by Max Verstappen. I can tell you now, it wasn't.
He was playing bumper cars, wasn't he?
He was, yeah. He was, yeah. And George Russell won it. And I didn't even watch. I just looked it up this morning, because I had too many other things. And tennis, Wimbledon began today. Southwest 15, Southwest London. I know it well. That's where I lived, actually. That's where people gave me a bed for the night when I moved over there. But
how posh are you, Pat?
Yeah, no, that was my twin brother. Wimbledon began today, and Emma Raducanu, who was full of injuries and whatnots in her personal life, has made a winning start to the tournament, which I was glad to see, because she strikes me as a genuinely nice person who had a lot to contend with, because she won the US Open, as you know, when she was 4 years ago, when she burst on the scene, and she won the US Open too early in her career, as I would say myself personally. But anyway, there you go. But she won her first round match against the Mexican in straight sets, so she's meeting Elise Mertens next in the second round. But it was nice to see her. She gave a nice interview afterwards. I like her, and she's a good player. Alcaraz made a start as well against the qualifier straight set, so he's safely through. Novak Djokovic, I think, is due to play on Wednesday. We don't know how fit he is. I don't think he'd be participating if he wasn't fully fit in the tournament. I didn't see much of the tennis because there's soccer on. I was watching the France-Belgium game, which France won 1-0. And they're between the winners of Portugal, who are playing at the moment. It's 0-0 in the Portuguese match. Portugal are playing, who are they playing? Slovenia. It is 0-0, I think, Derwynne, as at the moment.
Yeah, it's still 0-0. I've got it on the telly now.
So, I mean, we'd assume Portugal will win that. So Portugal and France would be a cracker of a match, as will Spain and Germany. So you'd have Portugal and France, Spain and Germany, and England and Switzerland. And probably, I'd say the last quarterfinal will be between the Netherlands and Austria, because the Netherlands are playing Romania and Austria are playing Turkey. So Austria are very good, very compact team. So there you go. I don't know who'll be scheduled. England has a good chance as any of them to come through to the final, lads.
Well, I mean, you always have a chance, don't you? I mean, it's not like you get there and you're pulled out of a hat and you're lucky if you are. No, you play the game, and who knows what can go wrong. I mean, we talked about it this morning. The French-Belgium game. I mean, unfortunately, how many deflections have been there in this tournament?
Quite a lot of them.
So again, the old adage: if you don't shoot, you don't score. If you don't drill the ball into the box, a defender can't make a mistake. So, and that's what's been happening.
I think there's been about 6 or 7 own goals, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, and sometimes it's not really an own goal because the guy is making an effort to go and block it, and unfortunately he gets there and the ball can cannon off of his leg or off his body anyway that it might happen. But you have to get the ball in there and make the attempt
You know,
putting the ball in the box. Come on, nothing's going to happen.
Yeah, poor old Vertonghen, who has been a magnificent player. Vertonghen, to me, I always admired Vertonghen. I always thought he was a great defender.
I always loved him as a player. Thought he was a fine player, fine defender. Just sometimes, and we talk about that, right? We talk about we've now had 2 golden generations of Belgian players and Portuguese players, right? And the Portuguese are the only team that have won a tournament.
Yeah, that's true. That
is
right.
And here we are with another generation of Belgians that are brilliant, another generation of Portuguese that are absolutely outstanding. And Belgium have gone home. So who did Portugal play in the last?
Portugal will be playing France.
They will be playing France, so that's going to be a crowd.
Yeah, Portugal playing France. Portugal, France, England and Switzerland, Germany and Spain, and probably Austria and the Netherlands. That's my reading of it.
You know what? Austria, they're a dark horse.
Yeah, they've been playing well, haven't they, Austria?
Yeah, they really are a dark horse in this. But I think the 2 things I've been most impressed with that you wouldn't have expected were Austria and Switzerland.
Yeah, definitely. I was just about to say the same thing.
Yeah.
The 2 teams are most organised and the tightest look to be Austria and Switzerland.
They're very good, compact, well organised teams. And Joe, next weekend, Joe, Limerick and Cork are playing in the semi-final of the All-Ireland, and Clare and Kilkenny in the hurling. Limerick are going for an unprecedented record, which has never been achieved in Gaelic games. That's 5 All-Irelands in a row, 5 of them. So it's an astonishing achievement if they'll come true, But I wish them well, even though they're playing against my old county Cork. But I don't think Cork have the guns. The guns aren't big enough for Limerick. I don't think they'll do that. I think it'll be a Limerick Clare All-Ireland final on form.
Well, that'd be another hell of an encounter. That one would be.
It
would indeed.
And in the football, Armagh versus Kerry and Donegal versus Galway in the 2 semi-finals, and the 4 quarterfinals were on over the weekend, and they were not a great advertisement for Gaelic football, in my opinion. There has to be a radical rethink on the rules of Gaelic football, because there was 70,000 in Croke Park, and you could hear the players talking to each other on the telly, even, just so quiet, so devoid of atmosphere. It was very poor fare, but the teams in true won't mind that, they're true to the Ireland semi-final. But something has to be done. That's my opinion, and for what it's worth. But getting back to the soccer on a more fruitful note, if England beat Switzerland, they're into the semi-final of the
Euros.
Derwynne, do you honestly think they have a realistic chance of winning the whole thing?
Well, I don't. I don't think they'll get past Switzerland, but I'm just being serious, because I it's not about. It's, to me, they just look devoid of any. I nearly want to say ambition to score goals. They don't look like they can score goals. Bellingham's overhead kick, technically, fantastic. How he got so much room to be able to do it is not really down to the England team. It was more down to the opposition probably running out of steam, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true. Just at the end, doesn't take the time.
And as for the winning goal with Kane, did Tony just head that back to a general area of what he thinks is a danger zone, or was that a master plan of a headed pass to Kane to knock it in? Who knows? I don't see it that way, but
no. To be honest, and to be very fair here, it's something that they would have worked on and they would have talked about, because again, how many times have we seen people with headers at the back post or volleys at the back post that make no sense for you to take whatsoever? The percentages are so poor of you scoring a goal from it. And you tell people all the time, if the ball comes to you, just put it back across the goal and hope for the best. We know we have guys in that area. Just put it in there and somebody will get on the end of it.
Yeah.
Now, you look at it, it's a long throw that I think it got flicked on a little bit, and they cleared it to the top of the box.
Yeah.
The guy in the right position at the top of the box tries to take a shot, scuffs his shot, mishits it, gets underneath the ball, spins to the back post to where Tony is, and he wins it in a ball that he can't do anything with other than really put it back across the goal. And Harry Kane has turned exactly. How many players do you see when the ball passes them, they don't turn and follow the flight of the ball and readjust. They just stay where they are. Well, Harry Kane makes his move and does that. And the ball comes to him and he puts it in the back of the net. Same thing with Jude Bellingham. The ball went past Bellingham, I think. And then it gets knocked back down. That was the throw-in, right?
Yeah.
If I remember it correctly.
Walker's throwing,
Yeah, so Walker's throwing and it gets flicked on, and Bellingham is doing what he should be doing, getting into the box in the area that he does. But he's done this before. If you've watched him for Real Madrid, this is not the first time he's done this. So it's an instinct that you have.
Yes.
It's only once, then you do it, you go, oh, I've seen this picture before, and then all of a sudden you put yourself in that position, and good things happen, and a great thing happens. So,
if you can think of the beginning of the English match, the England game against Slovakia, and contrast that with the beginning of the Spanish game, the Spain game, and Georgia.
Yeah.
I mean, they were the first 30 minutes of that match. They were inside the Georgia half for the whole half, 30 minutes.
Yes, they were.
Could England do that to any team?
England are not set up to do that.
No.
England play a different style than Spain do. So, no, England would not be able to do that. I mean, to be honest, I don't know about you, Derwynne, but I was shocked when Southgate took Harry Kane and Bellingham off in the extra time, and then went to a bit more of a defensive look about it. Because, I mean, not only are you, the two guys that scored your goals, right, are off the field now, but two guys that would have been taking penalties in the shootout as opposed to that.
Yeah.
Well, there would be.
I think, Joe, that's the bit that as England fans, we don't quite understand Southgate's thinking all the time. And
Derwynne,
you've got
but Derwynne, what you said there, in the final against Italy, what did Southgate do?
Yeah, he took off penalty takers.
For the penalty takers as well. And when it came to the penalty takers, I think he had 3 or 4 greenhorns, young fellas.
Yeah.
Yes, he did, yeah.
Yeah, and so...
I think that's the bit that, you've got, Henry Winter was on 5 Live this morning when I was driving. And you know, as much as, all right, he's a journalist, so he's going to probably sensationalize it or whatever, because he's got to, you know, something that could be written in 50 words, he's got to make 400 words out of, isn't he?
Yeah.
For the newspaper column. But, you know, he's sitting there and he's kind of going, you know, Southgate is either a very lucky manager or he's a genius. And because they're getting through, they got through their on Saturday night.
Yeah.
Well, last night, sorry, by scoring 2 goals, one in extra time and one basically in Fergie time, which again is questionable. And he asked the same thing as what I said to you earlier, Pat. You know, he puts Tony on with 2 minutes to go. And you like, really, have we got to the point now where with 2 minutes to go, you put a player on who could score a goal for you from nowhere? And he's a different type of player to what's been on the pitch, but he's got 2 minutes. You know, if you think about it, if they had been a bit more savvy, the other team, they would have kept the ball more, wouldn't they?
They would have.
Like Joe said earlier on, in the corner, you're not going anywhere, Palmer. You can just stand in the corner and do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Yet, you know, is it getting lucky, or is it making your own luck and all these other, you know, cliches that we all come out with? But
well, I think first of all, there are some good players on the English team. The ones that the English team that started, they started the match. You know, they began the match, but I don't think they're as good as the writers and the scribes and all the pundits are talking about. You know, I
actually think if you listen to the pundits, I think they're actually having a go about the England team more than they are patting them on the back.
True.
You know, if you watch the Lineker, what's his name, Shearer, they're having a right pop about it all. And if you listen to Gary Neville and Roy Keane and Ian Wright, they're having a go about it. And you know, I was surprised to see no substitutes at halftime, because some of them were dire, weren't they?
Well,
I mean,
they're 1-0 down in the game against, and they're not playing well. You would think, I don't know what the thinking is. You would think, we're trying to second guess Southgate here, that substitutes were expected at half time. You would think so.
Well, I mean, Joe, you're the expert. I mean, we all sit here as fans, but you've been on the other side of the fence, and you sit there and you just think, what's going to change in the next 20 minutes? That what's he telling the team? Because they come out and they basically do the same thing as what they've been doing in the first half. And you kind of just go, well, surely it's not working in the first half, is it?
No, it's not. And you know, I understand what you're saying, and I mean, there's a certain part of, you know, if it's not broke, don't fix it. You know, even though you're a goal down, you still believe that these are the best players to do the job for you, so you give them the opportunity for as long as you can, right? Now, but in today's age, when you've got 5 subs that you can put into a game, then it's a whole different dynamic than, you know, in the old days when you had 1 sub.
Yeah.
And now you're worried if it doesn't make a difference, you know, with 1 sub or somebody else gets injured, you know, then you're up the creek. I mean, I've had it happen to us. We were going for promotion to the first division back in the 80s, and we played West Ham. We'd lost to West Ham at Upton Park 2-1, we were playing him at Grimsby, and West Ham were top of the league. We were in the top 5 or 6, and we were still going for promotion. And West Ham were 2-0 up, and we pulled it back to 2-1. I scored a penalty, and our manager, George Kerr, took off a left full back and took off a left full back, put an attacking left winger out there, and dropped the left winger we had back to left back to be more of an attacker,
Yes.
to get overlaps going. Well, Dave Stewart, the West Ham fullback, and he got into a 50-50, and it was a bit more than a 50-50. Stewart actually done him, so he's carried off. So now all of a sudden we're down to 10 men with halfway the second half to go. And West Ham in those days had David Cross, Billy Bonds, all those guys playing for them.
Frank Lampard,
Trevor Brooking, all those guys. And all of a sudden, at the end of the game, we find ourselves 5-1 down. Now, they were a better team than us on the day, even at 2-1 with with 11 players on the field.
Yeah.
I think they would have still beaten us, but they wouldn't have beaten us 5-1. So, for us, in those days, the difference was that. So I can see what Gareth Southgate is thinking about. At 1-0, we're still in with a huge shot here. And these are still my best guys. And if I leave them out there, and if I make a change and we go 2-0 down, what do I do now? And the longer we can keep ourselves in the game. I know it's not a great philosophy for the English fans that want to hear it, but there is a mindset of that. I remember again at Grimsby, Chris Nicholl, Great Northern Ireland, was our player assistant manager, and he came in and he said, "Look, we play our style of play for 70, 80 minutes, and then if it's not working, then we'll just pump the ball forward and see what happens from there." Right? Now, someone else could say, "Well, why wait till 80 minutes to do that? Why not give yourself a bit more time to do it?" So I think it's hard to look back on his decisions and critique him for not being successful, because he has been successful. He's gotten the team to the quarterfinal of the championship, which is what they started out to do, to get as deep into this tournament as they possibly can. Yeah. Now, does he have to play entertaining football and this, that, and the other? No, he doesn't.
No.
And it's a bit like when Jim Callaghan was the Prime Minister of England, James Callaghan, and the opposition, the Tories, wanted him to have an election. And Callaghan kept going, no, and the Tories kept winding him up. So he starts singing that ditty about here I am at the church, left in the lurch, and then it goes on to the end of it and says, "I couldn't come to the church because my wife won't let me." So that's the way it goes. He doesn't have to do anything he doesn't want to do, as long as he's getting the results.
That's true, and I suppose he got him to the final of the last tournament.
Yeah, he's been the most successful England manager since Sir Alf
Ramsey.
Yeah. He's in the quarterfinals now. Yeah, that's true.
So that's the thing I'm saying. People just don't understand. The English public are so hard to please. I look at Germany, right? Look at Germany. Germany lost the '66 World Cup final, right, to England. They lost the semi-final in 1970 to Italy, right? And then in '74 they won it.
They won it
in Germany, right? Yeah. They also had 3 European championships in between. I think they may have won one of those. Germany had the same manager for every one of those tournaments. Helmut Schmidt.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Germany, after they lost the World Cup final, didn't fire their manager.
No.
You know,
No.
that's not the way they do things. You know, they have a plan with what they're doing and what have you. Before, I don't know if you're aware of it, but before the 74 World Cup, when England got beat by or lost to Poland at Wembley, that 1-0 game.
Yeah, I was there.
Right, Tomaszewski and the clown and Fluffy the clown and all that stuff. Well, Sir Alf Ramsey asked Alan Hardiker, who was the secretary of the Football League, to cancel all the First Division games the Saturday before because the Polish team weren't playing. Their league had been postponed.
Yeah.
So, Alan, do you know what Alan Hardiker said? He said no. He said no, and they said, "Well, we could lose and be out of the World Cup." He said, "Oh, people have short memories. They won't remember that in a couple of years." That was his attitude to it, you know, and that's the kind of people that were leading the game back then, and the attitudes that they had. That no matter what happened, our guys still had to play on a Saturday.
I dare say, if Gareth Southgate's team wins the Euros, will you still have critics anyway? You still have criticism of him, of his side of management of the team anyway. I dare say, even if they go all the way and win it.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, because I mean, there is a saying out there: sometimes it's better to be lucky than good.
Yeah,
you know, and there. What can you say about it? You know, I mean,
well, I think Roy Keane was brilliant last night because he said, "Look, England aren't playing well. It's clear they're not playing well, but they've just got through." And he said, "Like, you're from the England team, they'll keep taking. We're playing crap, but we got through. We're playing crap, but we got through. And if they get to the final, it's a one-off." Like, there's no way after this. There's nothing else after this.
Yeah,
So either we go out there and just go for it, or...
Well, I mean, think back, and you most of all, Derwynne, will appreciate this. You and I will, because we're United fans. Think back to the treble year, right? In Barcelona, right? Bayern Munich are playing Man United off the park.
Yeah.
I mean, they're playing them off the park. The game over.
It's not a game.
It wasn't even a game. And then United go and do what they did. Now, do you think Sir Alex Ferguson or any of the lads care about that?
No.
They don't care. All they do is they look at that. You know, look at my medal there. That's the European medal. Thanks very much. Yeah. And that's it. In the finish, it doesn't matter how good it looks. It just
I know it. I mean, as England fans, yeah, you're right, Joe. There's so much criticism and whatever, but I think the most of the criticism really is just about just some of the nonsense that you're getting fed. You know, whether you're getting fed by the journalists and the pundits, and I don't think Southgate sometimes helps himself. You know, he puts positive spins on a game that you all just go, did we not just get lucky last night? I mean, and if he walked into the press conference and just said, well, how lucky was that? Because we weren't very good, were we? But we got through, so let's concentrate on the next game. Which is what, as a golf pro, if I make 6 on number 15, I can't do anything about it. I've got to move to number 16 and start again.
Yeah.
Well,
and when you were playing, Joe, you would have done no different. That last game, I can't do anything to affect that. That's gone and dusted. I've got to learn from it.
Over.
I can't do anything about it. It's gone now. I've got to look forward and go to the next game. And if I have a bad hole, I've got to go to the next hole and look like I can still birdie this hole now. I can't birdie the last because it's gone. I'm not on that hole anymore. And
so over the week, yeah, go on.
I just think when he stands in these press conferences and says we had the most possession, we did this, this was all very good. I thought that, the team spirit was great, and you go, oh, come on, please, just be open. If he turned around and went, well, we ain't playing great, but hey, guys, we've got another game to play now. Hopefully, we'll play better in the next game. But that to me, that would be so much more of a positive than to come out with we had most possession. And you go, well, yeah, you can have them. I could have 36 putts in a round of golf. Don't mean nothing if I had 50 shots, does it? I had 86 shots.
No.
And, you can stand where I two-putted every green. But, yeah, hang on a sec. I was two-putting from 6 feet. Well, that ain't good either.
We have something.
The stats are one thing, but they don't mean anything. It's a result-driven experience, isn't it?
Well, and that's the thing with it. I mean, that's the whole thing with it. I saw an article, ironically, the other day about Sir Alex Ferguson when he was at Aberdeen. And on the Wednesday, they had just beaten Real Madrid in the European Cup Winners' Cup final. On the Saturday, they were playing Rangers in the Scottish Cup final at Hampden. Now, the year before, they played Rangers in the Scottish Cup final at Hampden and beat them 4-0 or something like that, right? They're coming into this game, and Sir Alex Ferguson wants a rout of Rangers because he hates Rangers for what they did to his family and what they did to his wife and what have you. But Aberdeen win the Scottish Cup 2-1. Sir Alex Ferguson did an interview afterwards where he slagged off practically his whole team for not playing well.
I've seen this clip.
Yeah. So he slags them off.
He goes, he's got that right hump even though they've won.
Yeah. And from that day, he never ever said a bad word about one of his players in public because he learned it was a mistake.
Yeah.
You can't throw your players under the bus.
No.
You go in there, right? You go into the press conference, you put the bravest face on it that you can, right? It's not your obligation to tell the press what they want to hear.
No.
Right? You go into the dressing room and it's a totally different arena.
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, you're talking to your team and you're going, okay, guys, this was a great win. And wins are so hard to come by. And at international level, they are the hardest to come by because it's the highest level that you're going to play at. And they're going, but we've got to do better than this, right?
Yeah.
We've got to do better than this. And then you go through rationally what you want to see happen, what you want to work on. These are things we did well. We had all this, but we had 67% possession. What was the end product? Now, we got 2 great goals out of it in the finish, but there'll be people that will tell you that that's what Jude Bellingham and Harry Kane are there for. The same thing that at the other end, the goalkeeper, it's like striking one day when Arthur Burrick was playing for Celtic and Burrick had a blinder of a game and Celtic won 1-0. And striking is in the press conference afterwards and they're saying, well, this is all down to Arthur Burrick. He said, what do you mean it's all down to Arthur Burrick? He said, well, he made all those saves. Striking said he was just doing his job. So there was 10 fellas in front of him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the guy looked at him and he says, yeah, he said, he's doing his job. He's did a good job, but he was doing his job.
Yeah.
And that's the rest of it. So, you look at it and you go, what were the guys doing? Were they doing what I wanted them to do? And as long as you're doing what I want you to do, I'll back you 100%. And that's what he's doing. And that's what will take them, if it's going to happen, that kind of team spirit and togetherness will take them as far as they can go.
Well, that's true, because the few players that were interviewed looked very together and looked very calm and relaxed. I just a good note, Derwynne, we look forward to Saturday night. Saturday at 5 p.m. Irish time, English time, England and Switzerland. And France won today, and as we're on here, and Portugal are half-time 0-0 on there, and the winners of that will play France in their quarterfinal. Anyway, from Joe, from Derwynne, we'll have to leave you, lads, with that commentary again, because I know there's a certain amount of people that we enjoy. Until we meet again next week.
You've got to send me that clip.
I will. Here
It's all eyes on the referee. We could be second.
And he's got.
It's all eyes on the referee. We could be seconds away from the greatest victory in Croke Park in 23 years for Galway. All eyes on Sean Herson. Galway 17 points. Dublin 16. Scan has his head in his hands. The referee looks at his watch. He blows the whistle. Galway have won. It's the greatest day that Galway football has seen in over 2 decades. And every man, woman and child stands to applaud Pádraig Joyce and his gallant Galway men. Sweet mother of Jesus, they have pulled off the unthinkable. Forget about Taylor Swift. Shake it off in the Aviva and come over here to Croke Park, because you're witnessing the West Awake. Gallev Abu!